Welcome to PaxX TV. I'm your host, Mary Kirby, and in this episode, our Mumbai-based correspondent Neelam Matthrews reports on how local Indian carriers are using food to differentiate their brands. We'll also be talking about why the growth of airline passenger traffic is slowing and why European travelers can finally look forward to staying connected in flight. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, GoGo.
How do we deliver the best performing IFC technology to aircraft? We focus on the plane first. Our aircraft expertise lets us install fast and minimize touches, keeping planes in service where they belong. And now our high bandwidth, future-ready global solution, 2KU, is in flight. New and better services for passengers, greater operational efficiency for our partners. The 2KU era has begun.
India is the 9th largest civil aviation market in the world and could become the 3rd largest by 2020. Let's look at how the nation's airlines are tempting passengers' taste buds in this competitive market to lure their share of nearly 100 million domestic travelers.
With its varied geography offering diverse ingredients, Indian cuisine is rich, complex, and colorful, and a major part of local culture. But airline chefs here face a challenge to offer passengers variety and flavor while catering to regional preferences and following current trends.
In the past, airlines and customers tend to go for what they perceived as sophisticated food, more complex. But what's the trend now currently is, I would call it comfort food. And in comfort food, and to people, it's actually local food. Food that people are used to eat, used to growing up with.
So evident is this leaning that full-service airline Vistara serves only Indian food in economy class.
Economy class, we have two choices. One is Indian non-veg choice and one is Indian veg choice. This is the feedback given by the passengers that they want only Indian food in economy class rather than giving the Western food to them, because this is a staple diet what Indians love it.
And while the term comfort food can imply heavy meals or unhealthiness, this isn't always the case. India's carriers are noticing increasingly that passengers want to have their cake, and healthy food too.
People have become more health conscious. They want to have more diet meals. So that's why SpiceJet has introduced diabetic meal on board, non-veg and vegetarian. Same way we are starting with the gluten-free meals, and very soon we will be starting with the fruit platters, because at times the passenger doesn't like to have a hot meal.
At Vistara, there are changes being made to traditional dishes by using wholesome whole wheat instead of starchy flour, and even listing calories in the business class menu.
We do realize that many of our customers, they are very concerned about whether that meals that they take are fulfilling their requirements in terms of their dietary conditions or their medical conditions. And they would like to know whether what they eat are healthy, and that's one of the ways that we are trying to share more information to be upfront.
The airline says that its modern steam ovens on board contribute to better tasting Indian meals in flight.
Steam is released into the oven cavity so that the food is actually not just heated and then the moisture is lost from the food, and it really works for Indian cuisine.
SpiceJet maintains that conventional ovens work well as long as the correct temperature is maintained in the food from kitchen to plane. But Indigo, on the other hand, India's largest budget carrier, uses no ovens at all. Instead, they offer pre-prepared items like chicken biryani and Indian oats, to which hot water is added in flight. While chefs, operational experts, sales, and marketing staff at airlines all have a say in what goes on the menu, it's ultimately the passengers who decide what works and what doesn't.
So we take utmost care not to repeat any mistake and ensure that people, if they don't like something with some combinations, that should not be there in the menu.
In other news, airline industry trade group IATA has released its latest passenger traffic data, which show that the demand for travel continues to increase but at a slower pace. According to IATA, the loss of momentum can be attributed partly to the ongoing and cumulative impacts of recent high-profile terrorist attacks, such as last year's bombing of a Metrojet flight, attacks at Brussels Airport and more recently Istanbul Airport, and of course coordinated non-aviation terror attacks in Paris, Nice, and elsewhere. IATA says that while the impact of terrorism on travel has traditionally been transitory, the repeated nature of recent events suggests that the effects may be longer lasting this time. Aviation safety experts tell Runway Girl Network that IATA's concerns are valid. You can read our full report on our website. And finally, European carriers will start catching up to their American peers soon as an enormous wave of in-flight connectivity installations sweeps Europe this year. The first of hundreds of Lufthansa Group aircraft has been fitted with Inmarsat's Global Express connectivity service. Passengers can expect basic internet surfing and email, and other more sophisticated applications will be possible, including video streaming. Meanwhile, British Airways and other carriers within the IAG airline group are gearing up to begin fitting their long-haul aircraft with GoGo's 2KU connectivity solution in 2017. Airlines that don't enable their mobile, social, vocal passengers to connect to the internet in flight could find themselves at a competitive disadvantage in the not-too-distant future. That's all for this edition of PaxX TV. Join us again next time for the latest news on the passenger experience.
It's a great day, I'm feeling good. Oh, the possibilities of what I could